Okay, so thanks for everyone for joining us today. I'm going to go through the introductions, not that it's necessary, but just for the heck of it. As you know, I am Sean Jeffrey, the Executive Director and CEO of the Manitoba Restaurant Food Service Association, and today we're going to be talking about associate member sales strategies. And the reason we're doing this is just for the simple fact is that over the last few years when I've met with associate members out and about and doing member meetups and just at events and so forth, the number one question is like, hey, how you doing? Number two question is, how do I get in front of more members? And what do I do with that time when we do get it? Because a lot of times we're all busy. And in a post-pandemic world where everyone is chasing their tail and drinking from a firehouse 7 days a week, we just don't necessarily have the time and the ability to kind of retain the information on what's really going on in the industry that either A, you're working in, or B, you're selling to. So I think the reality is that there is a great way to be able to utilize your benefits as an associate member in the restaurant association by really kind of localizing and utilizing the tools that are available to you, but maybe some strategy that I've learned by being here for almost 8 years, but also having a pretty significant sales background. So to start off, most of the members of the association won't know my background, but the reality is that prior to working with the MRFA, I spent 8 years as a business development director for the Canada's largest pest control company. And that component, I also oversaw Manitoba and Saskatchewan as from a branch operation standpoint of view. My job was to grow business for this pest control company for Western Canada, on top of me running the branches in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. During that time, I had never worked in sales myself at all. But by the end of it, I had had a 4-year consecutive term of being Canada's largest and most successful sales director and branch manager for that company 4 years in a row. I located and resourced business such as Richardson Pioneer, Viterra, Patterson Global, Simplot, McCain's, Northport Potatoes, and these were all multi-million-dollar contracts in that industry. And anybody knows that industry, it's $50 at a time. So it's a pretty significant contract. So I have a pretty significant sales background. So when I came into this position, obviously, and you'll notice by the amount of events that we do and the amount of different things that have been introduced into the MRFA over the last few years, those things are really solely driven around the fact that in order to be successful, the Restaurant Association has to grow both in membership and grow with growth in membership, and in availability and in events. So that's why you're seeing things like a gala and dine guides and taste of Manitobas and all that fun stuff. So when I speak with an associate member, it's actually a lot closer to my background than speaking with a restaurant operator, of which I did work in restaurants for almost 20 years in operations, but most recently spent most of the time in sales. So when I speak with associate members, I really kind of wanted to indicate that I try to indicate that I understand what they're looking at. So I understand what obviously what ROI is. I know what KPIs are. I know what cold, warm, and hot leads are, and I know that the reality of you justifying your membership dues into the Restaurant Association to your bosses, you have to show growth. And I know Tony Swick is on our board today. Our chairman is on here today. He'll contest or agree with the simple fact that I make it very clear very regularly that this is a very key component of an associate member continuing staying on with us and year after year as an MRFA member. So I kind of created a slideshow here on strategy based on what I would do as a successful salesperson if I was in your shoes and what I would have done. So I can kind of compiled some stuff. And I think that the first thing we have to really focus on here is the background of the actual association itself and why we're here and what we do. Because when you try to sell something that you don't have the full background on, and you don't understand your customers and what they're having to go through, it's really, really hard to kind of make that turn that cold lead into a warm lead, into a hot lead, into a sale. So, obviously the Restaurant Association, we kind of balance on three pillars here, and that's advocacy, education, and innovation. And when I created those pillars in 2019, we really wanted to make sure that we really kind of ran our organization around those three pillars. So when we go out and do things like events and or webinars like this, training development, and we create action plans for our associations, really circled around those three pillars that we live and die by. So in this case, this would be an educational piece, and webinars is something we've been done for years. And we really use that as a way to educate our members, but really going to be focusing on trying to educate our members so they can be successful. So really letting restaurants know the way they can save money and letting associate members know how they can make more money. So how do we support this work? So the MRFA is funded under three categories. So 25% of our operating budget is membership, 60% is events, and then the last is 15% is supportive initiatives. And those are things like partnerships, collaboration, grants that we get for running events and so forth. Really important to know where we come from. So when I started here, it was about an 80-20 split, 80% membership, 20% events. So that's really taken a different change. And because those events have become successful. We'll discuss that in a little bit, the actual event themselves. So how the MRFA membership can grow your business, it kind of serves like a bridge within our industry, encouraging collaboration and mutual support. And those are key things, collaboration and mutual support. During the pandemic, our association was proud to administer about $14 million in funding to restaurants that had been closed and only relying on takeout and delivery. That funding was allocated and resourced through the provincial government, and we administered it. When we went after that funding, it was done by those two things, collaboration and mutual support. Collaboration on we needed to create a program that was going to be beneficial to restaurants. Other provinces were just handing out checks evenly across the board, so that 50-seat, very heavily driven takeout and delivery restaurant was getting the same money as that 200-seat full blast Bailey's restaurant with a ton of servers and a ton of managers and a lot of overhead, and they were getting the same support structure. And we created a program that was based on delivery fees, which obviously was very relative to the amount of business they were doing and how much we could reimburse them for that. With that being said, mutual support was also important. Mutual support both from the government and our board of directors to try to foster and grow that program was very important. By joining, you gain access to obviously helpful tools and industry insights. So industry insights are really important. And our last year and a half collaboration and partnership with Restaurants Canada has really taken us to the next level of industry insights, what we can bring to you in statistics. I've had lots of associate members reach out and say, can you just send me some statistics, please? Because I want to know what I'm dealing with when it comes to inflation, increasing costs, food costs, so forth. And they found that very helpful. And these things are available to you as an associate member or a restaurant member evenly. And you can use them to actually really understand your customer database and what they're going through currently. And this is a great way in obviously assisting you in industry challenges and staying up to date on what's happening in trends and making sure that you're competitive. And this is a very competitive market, especially in your businesses. So very important to know what's happening on those industry insights. So again, I kind of created like some sales strategy based on what I would have done in my history in sales if I was in this position and I needed to go out and sell Mr. Sawicki on grease interceptors or lights or renovations and or food or beverage. The first thing is that, and I feel it's really important. I think it's the most important. This is what I found the most successful in talking with associate members that have utilized these kind of sales strategies. Now, these things actually have been around for quite a while. This sales strategy for me had been something that I lived by for quite a while. not just at the Restaurant Association, but in my sales life too. But it's also something I talk pretty regularly with as associate members. So this is not something that was just kind of recently compiled. So number one, and the most important, is being part of the MRFA shows your dedication to keeping up to the industry trends, adopting the best practices that can help your business thrive. So being part of the MRFA, being part of the Restaurant Association shows restaurant members that you actually care, that you care about what they're going on, because going out and selling your product within their business does not get easier, harder anymore with a membership to the MRFA. But what it does, it gets you more informed, and it keeps you up to date, but it also shows that, look, we're here to support the association that's here to support you. I think a lot of times what happens is associate members go in here thinking that going into the Restaurant Association is going to get me more business. And it will. If you ask any of our long-term associate members, it absolutely has. But what it really does is it shows that you as a business owner who support and sells to and works with the food service industry cares about the success of the food service industry. Because obviously we've been able to prove over years and years, and close to 90 years, to be honest with you, since the 40s, that we obviously, number one, with longevity, and two, the things that we've been able to accomplish. So would I have been able to locate $14 million in resources from the provincial government during the pandemic if I had had 100 members? And the answer is no, because they would have just pushed me aside and said that they cannot make enough noise to be able to cause us enough headaches that we don't have to give them this money. But because we had 400 members standing behind us, we were definitely able to create enough noise, and obviously with the resources that we have, that they said if they don't give these guys some support, Sean is going to be on every news channel every single day saying he's not our friend anymore. So, and that really comes down with having people standing behind us. So that really shows your business potential customer, your business partner that you're going to potentially work with, that you actually care about the industry itself. The second thing is really having access to network of peers and industry leaders and potential collaborators. So that's just a big words way of saying you're going to have access to people within a business industry and food service industry that know what they're talking about and can help you be successful. They're also going to be there to listen to you, maybe when they don't even need your business or need your service, but they're going to give you a shot. So if you go into a business client for the Restaurant Association, say, I am part of the association, I just noticed that you were too, and just want to see if you have a quick one-to-one talk, they absolutely will let you in the door. And from a guy who has initiated more cold calls that he would ever want to ever remember, it's a win-win for sure. It's actually it turns a cold call or a cold lead into a warm lead very easily. So the next is research that includes the latest industry statistics, trends, best practices. Again, these are all super important because you have to know who you're selling to, but you got to know what they're doing and what kind of situation, both financially and stability based and viability based, that they're in. So you have to know what you're actually selling to. And if you don't know that, you're going to come out looking like you're not necessarily understanding their business. And I will tell you from the years of working with some of the staunchest business operators in the food service industry in this province, that door will close faster than you can spin. So, and the last thing is that they offer you a platform for collective action, enabling you to address challenges and shape the policies that align with your industry needs and goals. So being part of the association allows you to be able to say, I have a voice on the way that the industry is moving, both on what we work on and advocate for, but really on the way that the industry is being shaped. And that's with your feedback. And we look to our associate members, just like you, to be able to get feedback on what's happening in your industry so that we can work with our restaurant operators to make them more viable for the future. And knowing these four sales strategies and going in and utilizing them will absolutely open up doors that have maybe not been opened before, because you'll understand what they're going through. You'll know how to propose business solutions that are going to be beneficial to their business without even knowing what their business is like, because it's a very consistent situation in our industry, both here and in Canada in general. And those statistics and those patterns will allow you to create custom-made businesses. So marketing strategy, some ways that you can market your business. In utilizing these will obviously gain the trust of a potential member customer. And this is the key thing here. People don't really understand is that when you are committing yourself to a trade show, to our golf tournament, coming out to our gala to congratulate our 3 honorees in the Manitoba Restaurant Hall of Fame this year. And when you go and do things like this, you create trust. And the trust is there because you are not just in it to win it, you're in it to make it viable for the future. And those are super important. So obviously we have events that you can do this with. And it also has a communication strategy. So we can create and work with you as an associate member on communication strategies and what we can utilize within the association to try to do so. And that is not just the way you communicate, but how you communicate. So if you come to me and every time that we sign on a new associate member, myself or Kim will sit down with them and get the Coles notes, but I would say even the longer notes version of how they run their business and what they can do for our industry so that we can custom make strategies to get this out. And it might be that next, Sean would say this next smoking gun, but it might be. It might be just a slightly warm gun. But what it will do is to be able to provide you an ability on where you should be able to target your business. We can also custom create initiatives for you to be able to help your business and utilize a lot of these things by things like this, by doing webinars. We've had many of our associate members have webinars. And we've recently even worked with an insurance company to create our own custom-made benefit program. That was initiated by the Restaurant Association, reaching out to its associate member insurance companies and saying, we want this. Can you create it for us? But this is what it's got to look like because this is what's going to get buy-in from the industry itself. And obviously understanding buying habits, knowing what is currently trending, what is currently being purchased, what is popular, what's not, and being able to get you prepared so that when you do make that call, you're well prepared to be able to deliver things that they need. Obviously, the most important thing about being an associate member now more than ever is our growth. So if you look at the growth in our membership, our associate members are in brown and our restaurant members in white. You can see significant growth in our restaurant members. And that's because we know to our associate members, both existing and new, that this is the way to do more business. The way to more business for an associate member is not to get more associate members, it's to get more restaurant members. And so that's why our single strongest focus on innovating this industry through our pillars and focused is making sure that we have restaurant members to be able to sell to. And if you can see between 21, but when I first started here, we had 263 combined members, and we will just shy of 500 this year. So, but the key thing is the growth in a post-pandemic world when our industry is struggling. We're seeing major growth year after year in restaurant members. So more and more restaurants that are broke and struggling financially, which they all are buying into the Restaurant Association because of what we can provide for them. So that's very important to see that because it doesn't say that, it says to us that we're focused on making sure as an associate member, your success is important to us. And we're doing that, not necessarily going out there and shopping your stuff around because we can't do that. We don't have the staff, but we are doing that by shopping out more restaurants that you can shop to. Just this morning, I had conversation with the owner of Wayback Burgers, and he's looking for some support for his, restaurants here in Manitoba. And number one support was trying to find a maintenance and a mechanical company that could support him because he's having a tough time trying to find a consistent mechanical company. And he's like, that's why he joins, because he's joining because he's trying to find a mechanical company. He thinks that we're going to be the resource for that. And we are, because we have some really great mechanical companies that are on our membership base. So how can each of these events grow your business? So we talk about the 4 major events that we do. Our Passion for Fair Gala, our Taste of Manitoba, which is a new event, a reboot from 2006. Very excited to bring that back. Our trade show, which is the biggest in Western Canada, and our golf tournament, which is one of the largest in Manitoba. Different situations. So what you're looking at, if you're looking at things like our gala, if you want to go out and take customers to an event to thank them for your business, the gala is the place to go, because it's full of restaurant operators. So it's about a 60-40 mix, 60% restaurant operators. And when we talk about restaurant operators, we're talking about owner operators. We're talking about, the Doug Stevens of this world, very long-term restaurant operators, very successful restaurant operators that are involved in the association. So it's a great way to meet new people, but it's also a great way to recognize your customers by bringing them to something that is very hard to get into. This is already sold out for this year, and we've got a month and a half to go. And it's a great way to be able to see what's happening in the industry, but also kind of rub shoulders with a lot of people just like yourselves, but also potential new business. The trade show in the MRFA in the Hotel Association trade show. Number one, is the only combined trade show in Canada. It's either one or the other. And two, it's the biggest in Western Canada. Last year we had just 1,000 attendees, 1,000 buying attendees. And when we go out and shop our trade show out for attendees, in the old days, we just shop out to everybody. Now it has to be a general manager, an owner, a director. It has to be a senior manager. We don't allow dishwashers, and even, very rarely we even allow assistant managers to come. It's usually just general managers and up. And that's a great way to showcase your products in an environment that is well known. It's been around for 26 years, uncombined. It's been around for 11 years combined. And the reality is that's a great way to kind of showcase your talent, but it's in a one-day thing, one day of chaos. So it really kind of makes a great way to kind of get as many people as you can without having to really worry about a long-term investment from a 2 or 3 or 4 day trade show. And last is our golf tournament, which is very, very well attended. Again, 80-20 split, 80% restaurant operators, 20% associate members. So it's a great way, especially on a whole, to get undivided attention for about 45 to 60 seconds of all the best restaurant operators and owners in the province. You're going to get 45 to 60 seconds of one-on-one time, which is very hard to get, especially if in a new business situation. So these are 3 ways that we actually built our events to be able to assist both our associate members and our restaurant members to be successful. So obviously marketing targets and sales strategies are an important point in achieving business goals, but the targets for us, are to really continue to grow our restaurant database and to grow the ability for our restaurants to be viable. That's our number one priority, the viability of the Restaurant Association in Manitoba. It's our number one focus. But we need the power and the toolage and the connections with our associate members to make this happen. So those strategies and targets are very much communicated through our membership base, and our associate members are always given an ability to provide feedback, so much so that we do have 5 allocated associate member positions on our own board of directors, which is very unheard of for a trade organization. Most of the time it's operations only. So we're one of the very few that allows supplier associate member type organizations to be on our board of directors. So that's more or less the Coles Notes version on how we, feel that, and more specifically, me feel that, you can use the Restaurant Association to grow your business. The biggest thing is that it's looking outside the box, and we're a very much outside the box type of organization. We have been for a really long time. That's why we've been so successful around such a long time. But I think that the reality is that if we look at some of the potential for associate members going out and getting new business, it's really recognizing that as an associate member, you're part of a collaborative group of foodies that want to make the restaurant industry, long-term and successful and stable here in Manitoba. You need to share that. And whether that restaurant is or is not a member, so if you're an associate member and you're a member of the Restaurant Association and that restaurant is not, you can go in there and really be the hero. We've proven it time and time again by going in there and say, look, my name's Sean and I work for ABC Fire and Safety Company. Want to talk to you about your fire safety. He's like, well, we're really struggling right now. And, we're with these guys, they really aren't very good. And, but we just can't switch. We just can't afford more. I'm like, oh, you guys are really hurting. Yeah, we know about the industry. We're part of the Restaurant Association. We're updated quite regularly on what's happening. And then you're like, are you part of the association? You're not. Well, you know what? What a lot of organizations are doing now, and I know Jamie's on this call and he's one of them, is like, look, if you need some help running your business and being viable for the future and keeping the doors open, the Restaurant Association is a proven entity to be able to do that. And asking for $275 would pretty much counteract this entire presentation at this point, because they obviously can't afford it. So people like companies, sorry, but like Food Buy, companies like Skip the Dishes, have gone and said, look, we're going to take care of those fees for you. Why don't you come on board? I'm going to try to help you make a little bit of money. I'm going to try to help you make your business a little bit more effective. I'm going to kind of, take care of some of these challenges with you. I'm going to pay your restaurant association fee for the first year. And that has really proved to be a real good investment in the future of the growth of the industry. Because once we get them on, our retention rate is over 92% year after year, which is just mind blowing. Any trader, even the chambers are usually around 80. So it's quite powerful once you get on, because we literally, and you'll all know that we bombard you with information regularly, and it's only going to get worse as we get more and more stuff to share. And we're always being innovative on ways to try to make our industry, our restaurants, and our associate members more viable for the future. So we really look to our members to say, look, we want to help you. They can help you. And we want to help you get that started. For example, Skip the Dishes, who's our delivery partner, actually initiated a 50 restaurants, giving 50% off 50 restaurants this year for membership. So if you're a Skip the Dishes customer, this is great to know. If you're a Skip the Dishes customer, which about 70% of the restaurants use them, and they're not a restaurant association member, they're going to get restaurant association membership for $75 for the entire year, because they're paying 50%. We're eating the other 50. So it's $75 for the whole year to be part of the association. If that restaurant participates in one theme week, so pizza, poutine, or burger, they'll save that money. So then they'll be free. If they participate in all three, they're actually going to make $250 $150, because we provide discounts off all these theme weeks. And that's just one of the many benefits we provide to our restaurant members. So knowing these kind of things, if you going in and talk to that business, like, look, you do like Burger Week, yeah? Okay, well, if you join the association, it's $150. So it's $75 to join. It's $150 savings. You just made $75 by joining, and it didn't cost you anything. So it's just a great way, and then you look like the hero. And so because you care, you're trying to make sure that they're viable for the future. So these are some examples of what businesses, associate members that we have are trying to do to try to grow. And it's not necessarily about growing the Restaurant Association's bank account, because as I showed earlier in the presentation, membership is such a small part of our budget, but it's the most important part of our future. And we need to make sure that we continuously growing people, because the more people that I have standing behind me when I beg government for grants and talk to government about problems with operations and business taxes and so forth, the more we get accomplished. And we've accomplished so much more over the years when we've had higher membership rates and membership achievements than we did in the past when we didn't. So that's my presentation for today. And it's kind of just a snapshot of what we want to provide and what we can provide, but how you as an associate member can really be successful in being an MRFA member and going out and growing your business because of that. The statistics alone are priceless. The simple fact that you get to go to some of the coolest food-based events, which are selling out day to day, is also priceless. But we're really here to make sure that you're successful as well. So what I'll do is I'll open it up for questions, and you can just unmute and fire away.
I've got a quick little note there. I mean, just to merit what you said there, Sean. I mean, for our restaurant, I'm a diehard MRFA fan. I've been there been a member for many years, and then on the board, of course, and chair. But most of my clients or my vendors are all now members of the MRFA, and I've done that on purpose because of their support they've given us. But I've got so much value in it, and so now first thing I do is if they come to my door, I ask them, "Are you a member? If not, why?" And second of all, if I don't know, I usually call Kim or Izzy or you and say, "Hey, listen, I'm looking for something else. What do you have?" And right away, there's a new opportunity. So it's been phenomenal. I think maybe I've got one person left that I might be getting to become a member soon, but just to say that's what most restaurants are doing now. So,
Thanks, Tony.
mhm.
Anything else? Well, I appreciate everyone's time today. So we actually record this and put this online for our members to see too. But I just want to leave you with one parting thing here, and cognizant of everybody's time, is that we're here for your support. We're only a phone call away. I love speaking with members. That's something I do regularly, but I don't do enough. I need to do more. I want to do more. I just don't. They're all so busy. They don't want to talk to me, and that's a cool thing because that means they're happy. But at the same point, we're here. Our team is dedicated and very knowledgeable on how we can be beneficial and how we can make sure that your business is successful. And we have so many channels to be able to do that. We'd love to discuss any one of them with you. And if we don't, we'd be happy to see you at one of our events. If not, we'll see you at the trade show. Or you can, I even put down here, and I very rarely, but sometimes I put actually our address. We have pop by for a coffee. We'd love to talk to you. Where we're here for your support. And I appreciate everybody joining us today. And I hope this was beneficial for you. And we are here if you have any questions. And everybody, please drive carefully because the city of Winnipeg does not salt or sand the roads. So we want to make sure we all get home safely. And everyone, you guys take care. It was a pleasure seeing everybody.
Thanks, Sean.
Okay. Thanks, Sean. You guys take care. Thanks.